大家好，欢迎大家今天收看也收听我们的频道。今天我们非常荣幸能够邀请到一位警察大哥来跟我们谈论有关仇恨犯罪的事情。因为这个仇恨犯罪呢，我们希望能够把它降到最低。我们也觉得在我们的华人社区里面呢，需要有这个意识。那它到底是什么？什么是这个仇恨犯罪呢？我们今天就有请。So, Paul, would you like to introduce yourself and your role?
Yeah, my name is Paul Smith. I'm a police officer for South Wales Police, and I am specifically a hate crime officer, and I cover the area of Swansea, Neath, and Port Talbot.
So, can you talk us through what is hate crime? So, is it hatred that people have towards someone else?
So, for a hate crime, we first need a crime, and that's any type of crime. And then we need a perceived hostility or prejudice towards a protected characteristic. So a protected characteristic could be anything from race, religion, disability, sexual orientation, or transgender identity. So it's the perception of the victim or a witness which makes it a hate crime.
All right. So you mentioned quite a few of them, like gender, sexual orientation. So, do you think this will happen at home? Then hate crime happen at home, like parents they don't agree that they don't agree on the children's sexual orientation.
So when it comes down to a hate crime, it would be we need the crime first for it to be a hate crime, and then the victim or any other person who perceives that crime was committed through a prejudice or hostility by that suspect committing that crime. So and that would be to anybody with a protected characteristic. So the law recognises 5 types of protected characteristic, and race could be from where you are from, where you're currently living now. Religion, any type of religious belief, and that's including those who don't have a religious belief as well. Sexual orientation, that comes down to who you love. Transgender identity and disability. And disability can also be hidden disabilities as well.
Interesting. I would like to know one extra. Does it count as hate crime? Like different ideology, like because of social medias, people people can receive a lot of information online. So, for example, if I'm a vegan, so someone who is not, but they argued about it and then later become physical. So, or would it happen? Would you think this will happen?
So, if you were assaulted, we've got the crime, but then being vegan, it wouldn't lie under a protected characteristic recognised by law. So it would need to fall into one of those categories, or perceived to fall into one of those categories for it to be investigated as a hate crime.
So that means that includes political views, like we hold different political views. So I support the right wings and you support the left wing. So then both or two people fight because of that. So that doesn't count as
that doesn't count either. Yeah, people can have different views and opinions, and that wouldn't fall into like a protected characteristic, which political side you may fall on.
Interesting. What about UK? So UK, you are English. So what about Welsh and English? So they are different. So they are categorized as different race. So they're protected because of this.
That's right. Yeah. So you could have race being English, Scottish, Welsh, Irish, and we have victims as well who are Australian. So it can be from anywhere.
So now tell us, what are the most common hate crime that you are aware of?
So statistically for Swansea Neath Port Talbot, public order offences are our highest crime type for hate crime. And that could be something like somebody just shouting abuse at a specific person in the street is classed as public order offences. And then our second highest crime type is harassment, stalking harassment. And that could be seen in neighbour dispute type of situations where someone is repeatedly targeting somebody, causing a course of conduct to cause somebody harassment, alarm and distress. So they're kind of our two highest crime types in Swansea Neath Port Talbot.
I experienced that myself. So I would like to know what it is. So I was walking in the street in Swansea. That was quite some time ago, because I didn't know that it is a hate crime, but I would say it could be racism, like because there was a child walking walking to me and then said it to my face, you are pig. So does it count? And then her mom, the mom, so at the back calling, oh, shut up. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Now, what is that? What do you think?
It kind of depends how you perceive it, really. The criminal age of responsibility is 10 years old, and if someone's targeting you and you perceive that as abuse, again, it would be down to a sergeant to make a decision. If what type of crime, or if any, has actually happened in that situation, or if it would fall in the realms of antisocial behaviour. And it's down to the victim of how they perceive that situation. It would more fall in like a public order offence if the child was swearing at you at the same time, maybe made reference to your nationality, or maybe how you look or something like that.
Yeah. So it was like Chinese pig. So that's yes. That's it. Okay.
But it's down to your perception. So it's like, even if they just called you a pig and you perceived it was for a specific reason, that's your perception on that situation, and report it to the police. And we have trained operators and call handlers who can see what kind of class of crime that would fall into for it to be investigated if there is one there. But again, maybe that would fall into the realms of antisocial behaviour as well. If you have a child that's targeting you, calling you a pig.
So it's like during the pandemic, so rumors, and then people may call the Chinese, they eat bats. So if they call like you bat eaters, so that we can relate it to the source of the incident. So we will say that this is actually, it is. Yeah.
Oh. So yeah, if you're being targeted with abuse, regarding the pandemic, that could possibly fall into harassment if that's the course of conduct. If it's causing you to feel harassed, alarmed, distressed, and you perceive that you were being targeted for a specific reason because you're a Chinese, then yes, definitely report that to us, and our operators will be able to find out exactly what kind of type of like crime that would fall into. So if you feel you are being targeted and it's affected yourself, please report that to the police.
So like another example is when they say that you go back to China. So is that hate crime?
Again, you've been targeted for a specific reason. So how does that kind of
situation
make you feel? So if it, in that situation, if it didn't fall into an actual specific crime type, it would be classed as a hate incident, which is we record non-crime hate incidents as well, which is when you've got a perception you are being targeted due to hostility or prejudice for your protected characteristic, which may be being Chinese. And there's no crime actually there. We still record hate incidents and try and take positive steps to prevent those hate incidents happening again. So it's kind of very all circumstantial to the situation. But if something happens, it's affected you, please report it, and then we can have a look exactly what we have in that situation.
Right. So what is the worst could happen from a hate crime?
So hate crime can vary depending on the crime type. It can be from the most severe crime, such as murder, robbery, grievous bodily harm, wounding, assault, even down to low-level crime then. Like low-level crime equally as important, but it's on a lower level to the most serious, such as shouting abuse at somebody. So you can serve a prison sentence, really, for any crime type. So obviously, the more serious crime, the bigger sentence you would get in prison. So,
what is most likely to happen to the Chinese in the UK in terms of hate crime?
So, statistically speaking, in Swansea, Port Talbot, because public order offences are our highest crime type, you could say statistically you might be more vulnerable to being a victim of someone shouting abuse at yourself, which is public order. We have locally in 2023, the Chinese community were targeted by a gang from West Midlands, targeting families with burglaries, which investigations by South Wales Police was key evidence into prosecuting those individuals. Fingers crossed that hasn't happened since. That gang was specifically dealt with. On a national basis, we've seen articles by the BBC reported, such as a blessing scam, which is targeted elderly female Chinese residents. So it really can just be anything, really, but they're the kind of main ones for the area and nationally that have been reported on, specifically targeting the Chinese community.
How do the police monitor this in terms of preventions? So, for example, now if the most heated news about migrants, so would the police monitor what's going on within the communities or on social media and see, people, are they starting or planning something? No. So do you have that kind of? Do the police know all this information?
So, as a community basis, we speak with all our different community groups in Swansea, Port Talbot. If there are problems within specific communities, we find out what those problems are through community forums as well, which we attend. So we then work with, depending on what the problem is, we have a number of resources that work within the community safety team to try and prevent crime from happening. They include resources such as crime reduction tactical advisors who can go out and visit premises, visit residential premises as well, to offer crime reduction advice. And then, we always monitor the national picture of hate crime as well and what's happening, in the community. We saw the protests, which mostly happened really in England last year in August, which we monitor on locally as well, just to make sure and reassure the community in Swansea, Port Talbot.
I recently received a call from the police, so I must say that it was a very good work initiative. So I received a call telling me that, asking me is everything okay within our Chinese community? I said, why do you ask? What happened? So the police officer said it was because there was a new piece of news. I think it's about incident happened in Shanakli. I'm not too sure. And that people talking about hate towards migrants. And then that is why I received that call asking me, is everything okay? So just to let your community know, aware of this. So there's a group of people now very hostile. I do not know what's the right word to use. They're very angry about migrants. So so ask us to be aware of it. Oh, okay, that's very good, but nothing happened. Yeah, nothing happened.
Yeah, if anything is happening locally in Swansea, Port Talbot, which we think may affect a community group, or we think the members of a community group may be affected, but not actually reached out to the police. We often speak, with community leaders just to make sure everything's okay, and just offer reassurance and support. And if any member of the public has experienced some type of hate crime or hate incidents, we encourage them to report it to ourselves as well.
Why is it important for Chinese to know and aware of this?
So, like any community group, the Chinese community group can be targeted with hate crime, and it's our messages really from the hate crime and cohesion team is for every hate crime and hate incident to be reported to the police, so we have a true picture of what's happening in our area, and we are able to support those individuals as well. And we are victim-led on how we would, they would like the report to be dealt with, whether that's just letting us know what's happened and gaining access to support, or actually going through with a prosecution against somebody. So it's vitally important we know what's happening in our area, where, what time, and who's responsible.
According to what I know from our community, because many of them, they actually run takeaways, and some of them they share same experiences. So in different locations in Swansea, no youth or young people, they actually mess around with the rubbish, and then so cause a lot of disturbance to the business. So then I asked them, why are you not reporting this to us or to the police? And then they may say that, do you think it's necessary? Do you think it's helpful to let the police know? They are just youth, and then they perceive, or they think, or they thought that it's no point telling or report about this because they're youth, so nothing will happen to them. Is that true?
So with like youth causing issues in specific locations, we work closely with the neighbourhood policing teams. So if we have a specific problem outside of maybe a specific takeaway shop, we can try and get the neighbourhood policing team to conduct extra patrols in that area, try and find out who these youth are. There's other ways to deal with youth through an antisocial behaviour process, and the antisocial behaviour team work within our team in community safety. And again, maybe that shop could benefit from a visit from our crime reduction tactical advisors as well, in order to give some advice on how to prevent incidents happening in and around their shop, or ways of collecting good evidence to show what's actually going on as well through CCTV systems. So there is a lot that can be done. As soon as we know there's an issue, we can start looking into it and problem solving, really.
Great. So it's best that they still report it. And do you think it is best to start educating hate crime in school, so that our young people will not to be part of it?
So we do have youth engagement officers who deal with a lot of crime involving school-age youth, and they actually go into schools as well and give hate crime talks to school pupils and classes and assemblies, to educate them what hate crime is, and what the consequences can be going into adult life. So there is work that is being done with the youth. As part of the hate crime team, we attend different engagement events, engage with youth of all ages, advise them on hate crime consequences and just what hate crime is as well, to try and get them to report it, try and gain that trust in the police. And that's kind of a trust we ask to try and community leaders such as yourself to speak with their community groups and and try and advise their community members to report hate crime if anybody's been a victim.
So it sounds like bully in school can be later lead or become hate crime if it's not dealt with properly, would it?
if there is a problem within a school, and you have bullies who are targeting people for specific protected characteristics, they try to deal with the bully to keep him out of the criminal kind of justice system, and try and re-educate that person, try and teach them right from wrong. But ultimately, if that's the type of behavior that carries on into adulthood, into working life, that can ultimately lead to that person entering the criminal justice system, which we don't want. So we try to work with the schools, work with the individuals. We work with partners in, say, Swansea Council, CMET team, to try and educate individuals and provide training, provide information on hate crime. And that's including speaking to school classes and assemblies.
Great. So is there anything else that you would like to highlight?
So I think we've covered most things there. The key message is, please report it. Please report it to people like yourselves who can let us know as well. Ultimately, if you feel nervous about reporting, but would just like to seek some advice, we run the hate crime drop-in session at Swansea Cultural Hub every Friday 9 till 12 beside yourselves. And please come along and just have a chat about the situation, and we can see what's happened there. And if you need support, we can put you in touch with the correct support networks as well.
Yes, certainly. So we encourage our people to come out to report about it, and then Chinese Civil Association will be there to if they have language barriers. So we will be there interpreting for them. I will speak on their behalf. That's great. Thank you, Paul. No problem. I hope that we have another session about some other topics about police.
Yep, that sounds good. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.